Ferris hand lever mount. We've got this tab here that we've got about. Slide it in place. And we'll make sure it's positioned where it needs to go. And we've got this hole up here on the top that we line up, and this hole here on the side that we line up. All right, there we go. Here on the right hand side, you remove this bolt, the 9/16 bolt, and it's a 3/4 that you take out. You put a 1-inch in there, bolt this back on. Up here on top, there's this little screw here that comes out. That is I believe it's a 5mm hex Allen wrench, and you just got to be careful when you install this that you don't over tighten it. It just needs to be down snug. And then there's a little hook up here under the front edge that hooks it, keeps it from moving in and out this way. So that's where it mounts on here. The hand lever itself mounts to the outside of that bracket. A couple of 5/16 by 3/4 bolts go in here. Cable routing then come off the hand lever itself, and we're going to run down around, and it looks like here the best spot is to route this kind of outside the frame because you don't have a whole lot of room in here and get next to that motor. You run it in here, make a little loop, run it right through this eye bolt, and then come right over here and you'll attach to the GrassFlap on this end. So that would be the cable routing and the mounting for a hand lever on this Ferris Z1.
Hey everybody, it's Michael with GrassFlap here. We are going to do a full install of the new Ferris metal plate on the Ferris Z3X. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install the no drill mount. So you should have a set of spacers in the kit. We're going to use the shorter 1/2-inch spacers here. You're going to put one on each end of the opening of the hole. You're going to lay the no drill mount on top of it like so. Also, you're going to take your carriage bolts, put them underneath the deck and come up through the top. And then we're going to take our lock nuts and just tighten that down. You're going to go ahead and tighten this all the way down because we're not going to be moving it going forward. So once you have the bolts secure, you want to make sure everything's lined up to the edge of the deck. Then you want to take your drill, tighten that down. Like I said, go ahead and tighten it all the way down. All while making sure that it's lined up to the edge of the deck. Okay, now that we've got everything lined up and bolted down, we're going to go ahead and take the other set of spacers that we have. They should be 1-inch spacers. We're going to lay them on top of those 2 tall carriage bolts, and then you're going to lay the hinge assembly on top of it with the slotted holes. So the bolts are facing up. Take those other set of lock nuts, go ahead and put those on. Once those are secured, you're going to want to make sure the hinge is flush against the deck opening. Since the plate itself is thin, you want that as snug as possible. You don't need to tighten this all the way down, as you may need to make adjustments as you go, but just make sure it's not moving once you install the plate itself. So I've got a little bit of carry on there. It's not all the way tightened down. Now we flip the hinge up, and we're going to take our brand new blocker plate. It's going to come out of the box flat like this. It's different with the ICD decks because you do have a tapered opening. The solution we have with that is this plate has slits in it to allow it to be bent. And we're going to bend it right now. So the best way to do it is stick it underneath the no drill mount here. We have it lined up with that back slit right there. And then once we do that, we're just going to lift up. Don't be afraid to bend. And then you may have to do this a couple times just to make sure you get your alignment right. It's okay if you have to bend it back and forth. It's designed to do so. So right here we can see we've got a good flush seal on it. Okay, now that we've got that done, we're going to go ahead and take the other bolt that we have and nut and attach it to the hinge itself. And you want the top of the carriage bolt to be on the outside of the hinge so it's flush, so you don't have the end of the nut, the threading coming out. Now these slots are designed to shift forward and back and up and down, and you may have to adjust depending on your deck opening and size of deck. So once you have that, we're going to go ahead and thread the bolts on, tighten the nuts down, but not all the way because we are going to make another adjustment here. So now that we've got that, close it up, get a nice seal. Everything looks good and clean. We're still missing one part on the hinge assembly. We're about to grab it here. It's the deflector angle. Now, I'll get a lot of questions about the deflector angle. Do I need the deflector angle? Does it make much of a difference? And you've got to remember, it's not so much that the deflector angle gives you a good seal as it does deflect the grass itself away from your face when you crack it open. So this deflector angle is going to stick up slightly, and I'll show you how to get away from the no drill mount. But now that we've got that, we're tightening everything down again. Get it nice and stuck. I still have not tightened the hinge itself, and this is why. So we've got this 1x2 deflector angle here, and it's different. Our older styles had double-sided tape. This doesn't require that. You actually just slide it in, and it's going to sandwich in between the hinge and the blocker plate. Now, to know the distance, we're going to lift this up. You'll see there's markings on there on each end. We want to be level with that so you know that your deflector angle is flush and not cockeyed or anything. So once we have that, now we can go ahead and tighten the hinge all the way down. You may need to change your socket because it is a smaller nut. Once we have that, now, it's also important to note that your deflector angle is more than likely not going to cover the entire opening top to bottom. And account for is the front of the mower, because the front right corner is going to be where most of the clippings collect. So when you open that, that's where the most of them are going to be at. So the back end is not as much of a concern as the front. So now that we've got that leveled off, we're going to go ahead and attach the spring mount. So we're going to take that nut off the hinge itself. It's a lock nut. And we're going to attach the spring mount. There's one exposed nut there on the front. That's okay. You don't need to mess with anything on that. Tighten that down. You may have some obstructions. This spring mount can pivot up and down to try and get away. It doesn't matter where you set it. You just want to kind of avoid any kind of lips or spindles or anything that would be in the way. So now that we got that, we're going to put the spring, the tension spring, onto the bushing bolt. The best way to do this is grab a pair of channel locks, grab the end of it like so, wrap it around, and take it off. Okay, now that we've got everything going on the hinge, we're pretty much done there. We're going to go ahead and install the cable itself. So you want to just start with the closed clevis end. That's the one that's not the removable. And you're going to want to slide the front bolt off the jam nut all the way off the rubber boot, so you can slide it into the black cradle to attach the clevis to be able to open the hinge. Now we got that. In your kit, there's going to be a yellow bag. That yellow bag is going to be all your connection points for the cable itself. So once we grab that bag, there's two pieces three actually, that we're really looking for on this part. And that is the smaller clevis pin. So there's two clevis pins. The smaller one is going to be for the flap end. You're also going to have a copper bushing. So there's a loop, a black loop right by the spring mount that the cable attaches to. You're going to slide that copper bushing in between there and then put the clevis pin through. The copper bushing allows the clevis pin to move freely, to not have any kind of friction over time. And if you notice here, I've got my clevis pin, I've got the point where I put the cotter pin towards the front of the mower. This is important because we get a lot of people that lose the cotter pin or it falls out, and that's normally because they install the clevis pin the other way and it rubs against the spring mount, causing it to fail quickly. So this part's important. We're going to take the cotter pin, put it through the hole, and then we're going to spread it like wings, wrap it around the entire thing, and that will keep it from coming off. Okay.
We've got the GrassFlap. This is an all steel blocker plate. They actually fitted at install. Works out really nice. This guy is installed using a no drill mount. no drill mount bolts to existing holes on the deck. Use a 1/2-inch spacer here and then some 1-inch spacers, and then clamp the whole thing together. So from the steel blocker plate up to the hinge plate, then next thing we have is this spring. So that spring holds the flap in the closed position as well as in the open position, and it comes up and hooks here to a spring bolt. Then we have the cable connected here. It connects with a 3/16 pin, aluminum or a brass bushing in here, and then a cotter pin that we split and fold back into a W pattern so it fits on there. Cable routing is straightforward. We're going to come off the GrassFlap. We'll come over here and make this little loop and come back around. And we're actually going to tie this to, there's a bracket in here for the oil drain hose, and we're just going to zip tie it right here. Then we just run up here to the hand lever itself. This hand lever is a very nice option. So from an operating standpoint, what you're going to do is to get it to operate, let's see, I'll get up here and show it to you. So basically it is pull and release motion. So it's just one smooth motion up and back, and then let it go back forward, so it'll stay in the up position without your hand on the lever. It'll stay in the full closed position without your hand on the lever. And then you can also, there's a partial open position. So what you can do is you can lock the lever so that the flap stays in that partial open position. So very easy to operate. The only downside is you gotta let go of the controls to reach up there to operate it, but super convenient with this third position for the partial open. Okay, just wanted to show that to you. If you have any questions, please give us a call.